We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Yamera, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines. Indonesian search and rescue teams Wednesday blocked stranded residents from remote islands and pushed into isolated communities, still desperate for aid in the aftermath of a volcano-triggered tsunami that killed more than 400. No Filipino was reported affected by the eruption of Mount Etna and more than 100 earthquakes recorded in Sicily, Italy. A Thai prisoner died early Tuesday after being electrocuted by high-voltage barbed wire as he attempted to escape. Indonesian search and rescue teams Wednesday blocked stranded residents from remote islands and pushed into isolated communities still desperate for aid in the aftermath of a volcano-triggered tsunami that killed more than 400. Medical workers have warned that clean water and medicine supplies were running low, stoking fears of a public health crisis, as thousands of displaced survivors crammed shelters and hospitals. Many were left homeless by the killer wave. The disaster agency said it has dispatched helicopters to drop supplies into a handful of hard-to-reach communities along the shattered coastlines of Western Java and South Sumatra. Hundreds of residents still stranded on tiny islands in the Sunda Strait, which separates Java and Sumatra, will be airlifted or taken by boat to shelters, the agency said. Sniper dogs are being used to find those still missing as grief-stricken relatives lined up at identification centers, but hopes of finding any survivors beneath the rubble have dwindled. Senior disaster agency official Dodi Ruswandi said they're starting to access the most isolated places hit by the tsunami. Some roads and bridges near isolated communities had been damaged, making road access more difficult. The powerful tsunami struck Saturday night without warning, sweeping over popular beaches and inundating tourist hotels and coastal communities, leaving a trail of death and destruction in its wake. The latest death toll stood at 429, with 1,485 people injured and another 154 still missing.
Kita tetap menunggu data antemortem atau laporan dari masyarakat. Kemudian dari situ kita coba publikasikan masyarakat agar hadir ke sini. Kemudian kita buka posko, mereka diperkenankan melihat foto-foto identifikasi kita dari foto itu untuk mengenali. Dia kita tanya, terakhir kira-kira bawa pakaian apa, kemudian ada ciri khusus nggak badan dia. Nanti kita cocokkan dengan hasil foto kita di saat kita identifikasi. Kalau memang merasa laporannya banyak, jadi laporan banyak. Satu korban itu yang lapor bisa 3, 4, bisa 6 orang. Jadi yang melapor lebih daripada jumlah korban. Banyak itu.
Meanwhile, survivors of a tsunami in Indonesia that has killed hundreds and displaced tens of thousands are reportedly moving to higher ground, fearing another eruption from the volcano believed to have triggered the giant ocean surge.
Karena saya takut di sana ada bencana, tapi rumah saya jauh dari pantai, tapi saya takut naik ke atas rumah saya. Saya ke sini mengungsi. Alhamdulillah di sini dikasih makan, kasih minum, kecukupan sih di sini saya. Daripada dulu saya takut. Iya.
Fears about the public health crisis come as the death toll from Saturday's volcano-triggered disaster topped 400, with thousands more displaced. Many left homeless after houses were flattened by the killer wave. Experts have warned that more deadly waves could slam the stricken region, now covered by mountains of overturned cars, boats, furniture, and other debris. Many evacuees are too afraid to return home, fearing another tsunami. In other news, no Filipino was reported affected by the eruption of Mount Etna, and more than 100 earthquakes recorded in Sicily, Italy. In an update posted at around 11:45 p.m., Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Assistant Secretary Elmer Cato said the agency continues to monitor the situation in Italy. While some hikers were brought down from the slope of the volcano to safety level, there were no reports of deaths or injuries. Further, Italian authorities have not issued an evacuation order. According to the Philippine Embassy in Rome, the Filipino community in the cities of Catania and Messina themselves reported they were safe and that no Filipino has been affected by the eruption. Flights into Catania Airport, which were halted temporarily, returned to normal at 8 p.m. Monday, local time. There are around 2,325 Filipino nationals in Messina and 624 in Catania, with more or less of 5,000 residing in the whole of Sicily. Reports said that Mount Etna, the most active volcano in Europe, spewed lava from a new fracture near its southeastern crater on Monday. More than 130 earthquakes, with one as high as 4.3 magnitude, were also recorded following the volcanic activity. Meanwhile, Tropical Depression Usman has slightly intensified as it continues to move west and northwestward. The Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration said that as of 10 a.m., the center of the tropical depression was located 775 kilometers east of Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur, packing maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers per hour near the center, and gustiness up to 65 kilometers per hour. Usman is moving at 15 kilometers per hour. According to Pag-asa, while Usman has no direct effect on the country, moderate to heavy rains which may trigger landslides and floods are expected over Bicol region, Eastern Visayas, Surigao del Norte, and Dinagat Islands on Thursday, December 27. Residents of these areas, especially those living near river channels and mountainous areas, are advised to take precautionary measures, coordinate with local disaster risk reduction management offices, and continue monitoring for updates, Pag-asa said. A huge blaze that struck Barangay Duho Fatima in Cebu City at Tuesday dawn, December 25, destroyed some 200 houses and killed a 12-year-old boy. Investigators identified the fatality as Cyrus John Paras from Barangay Duho Fatima. His remains were found inside an internet cafe shop. The fire was first reported at 3:47 a.m. and reached a task force Alpha at 4:11 a.m., which means firefighters from neighboring local governments were mobilized to help put out the fire. The Freeman, a Cebu City newspaper, reported that at least 158 families or 676 individuals were affected by the Dulho Fatima fire in Cebu City as of 9:15 a.m. More than 1,500 people across 3 townships in northern Rakhine State have been displaced by fighting between the Myanmar military and Arakan Army or AA since the clash broke out in October, according to local civil society groups. The fighting in Kiautao, Ponagyun and Butidaung townships has intensified since late November. Kiautao, where more than 1,000 people have fled their homes, has been hit hardest. On Friday, more than 400 ethnic Kami in Kiautao fled Pinyawa village to the villages of Taluchong, Tongmin Kalar, Kansok, and Nga Sarin Kain after artillery shells landed near their homes. In a joint statement on December 12, the AA, Tang National Liberation Army, and Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army offered to suspend armed hostilities with the military for a chance to join the process. The government's Place Commission welcomed the statement and said it would negotiate with all 3 armed groups in hopes of reaching bilateral ceasefire agreements with each. The Philippine Army has stepped up security measures to prevent and contain any hostile actions that might be conducted by the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army, or CPP-NPA, as it celebrates its 50th founding anniversary on Wednesday, December 26. The NPA, the rebel group's armed wing, is listed as a terrorist organization by the United States and European Union. Despite the group's attacks, Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Luis Villanueva said the doors remain open for those who would like to surrender. Villanueva said the CPP-NPA marks their anniversary with violence, which he said is in contrast to the peace agenda that they are trying to sell to the government and the people. In other news, the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, on Tuesday night issued an advisory to Filipinos in Libya to remain vigilant following a suicide bombing that killed 3 and wounded 7 others. The attack, perpetrated by 3 suicide bombers, took place at around 10:30 a.m. or 4:30 p.m. Manila time at the Libyan Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Tuesday. Philippine Embassy charged the affairs Mardumel Melicor said no Filipino has been reported to be among the casualties. Melicor urged the more than 2,000 Filipinos and their dependents in the Libyan capital to restrict their movement and stay indoors. Meanwhile, the United Nations Support Mission in Libya, or UNSMIL, strongly condemned what it tagged as a terrorist attack in the Libyan Foreign Ministry. It said the attack on state institutions constitutes an attack on all Libyans. More news when ASEAN in Focus returns.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. The consumption of a healthy, balanced diet throughout life is essential to the maintenance of good health and the prevention of malnutrition, non-communicable diseases, and other medical conditions. This means eating right proportions of a wide variety of foods and the right amount of food and drink in achieving and maintaining a healthy body weight. The exact composition of a diverse, balanced, and healthy diet varies with individuals. depending on factors like age, gender, physical activity, availability of foods, as well as cultural context and customs. The basic principles of a healthy diet, however, are the same. Dietary patterns have altered because of urbanization, changing lifestyles, and availability of processed foods. Malnutrition refers to deficiencies, excesses, or imbalances in the intake of energy and nutrients. In other news, the Myanmar Aerospace Engineering University was selected among participants from 182 countries as this year's winner of the Energy Globe Award in Japan. Myanmar's research presented the concept, design, and construction of the device for thermogravimetric measurements alongside the results from tests carried out on wood pellets. The main objective is to study the viability of biofuel production as a source of renewable energy via gasification technology. Studies were conducted by optimizing on opportunities to improve the energy efficiency of the gasification process of biomass matter. Myanmar relies heavily on natural gas and hydropower to sustain its economic development activities. Meanwhile, the government is undertaking measures to increase private sector participation in the energy space by attracting foreign direct investments in the renewable energy sector. The Department of Agriculture is targeting 100,000 hectares for sorghum planting, mostly in ancestral domain areas of the indigenous people to support rural hog and poultry raisers. DA Secretary Emmanuel Piñol said a village-level feed mill would also be established to help farmers produce their own feeds at a lower cost. Piñol said through the establishment of village-level feed mills, organized rural hog and poultry raisers could avail of loans from the DA's Agriculture and Fisheries Machinery and Equipment Loaning Program. A group of hog raisers from the Davao region was the first group to apply for the loan for feed mills, which will be granted at 2% interest per annum, payable in 8 years. The DA has come up with its first sorghum pilot farm in San Vicente, Makilala, North Cotabato. By the end of February next year, he said the 6-hectare pilot farm could be harvested, and judging from the physical appearance of the plants. As corn production has been very low, making it very expensive, forcing feed millers to import feed wheat. The DA has introduced sorghum in the different regions of the country as it develops new sources of grains for its growing livestock and poultry industry. Sorghum has a higher protein content than corn and could grow well in marginal areas requiring less water and rainfall. With one harvest, a farmer could harvest his sorghum field 3 times because of rattoning, making it cheaper to produce. Improving business environment and national competitiveness is a core policy priority of the Vietnamese government in 2019. This has great importance because many nations are racing to attract investment through fostering the quality of their business conditions. Resolution number 19 on the improvement of business environment has been implemented for 5 years and has gained a lot of success. The government is planning to carry a further reform on this issue next year, and this resolution is expected to be numbered 02 instead of 19. Just after the resolution number 01, which sets the major task and solutions to implement the socio-economic development and state budget for 2019. After 5 years of implementation, Resolution 19 has raised awareness of the state agencies and business community on the importance of fostering quality of the business climate and national competitiveness. As a result, the country's business index tracked by the World Bank in 2018 jumped by 21 points compared to 2015. Performances of some criteria such as logistics, services, innovation, e-government, and access to e-public services have seen strong improvements. ASEAN in Focus will be right back. Stay tuned.
know the latest news and information here and abroad. In Aguila, Balita, track the latest happenings in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Be aware of important events in Asia in ASEAN in Focus, and be updated in the biggest news around the world in Eagle News International. Tune into Mata ng Agila and get the day's headlines and news that are sharp, accurate, and objective. Only here at Net 25.
I think, sa palagay ko, lahat tayo dapat matuto. You guys must all learn how to do this. Is ko na. Nalagas na. Ano bang sense ng mga ganyan? Bakit kailangan matutunan ng mga Pilipino?
Sila Gov mamaya, sila Gov. Ay, minsan din sila Sir Borgie, tsaka si Sir Matt, para sa Media Notes.
A prisoner died early Tuesday after being electrocuted by high-voltage barbed wire as he attempted to escape, the police said. Wiwat Aksorsom, 32, broke free from his cell just after midnight, along with 2 other prisoners, and tried to scale the 6-meter walls of his prison in southern Surat Thani province. But he accidentally touched the electrified barbed wire, cresting the prison walls, killing him instantly. Colonel Wanchay Palawan, superintendent of Chaiya District Police, told the media. Prison officials found his body on the wall after he was electrocuted. Wiwat had been arrested in possession of 38 methamphetamine tablets and was remanded in custody while pending police investigation. The 2 other prisoners, also jailed for drug offenses, made it through without making contact with the fatal wiring. But one was promptly rearrested after breaking his arm as he landed on the other side of the wall, while the other was found hours later in a police search around the perimeter. They said they are homesick, Wanchay added. 5 prisons are all equipped with high-voltage electrical fencing to serve as a deterrent to escaping prisoners. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Yamera, and I'm on with 25.